we are going to get to Caitlin Clark fans and the nuclear backlash that A'ja Wilson is getting right now over the the reveal of her Nike signature shoe from earlier today.
It appears that Wilson knew about her own signature shoe for 2 years, but instead of clearing the air, she allowed the outrage to build, which led to a social media.
If you're taken aback by that, if you're like, wait a minute, that doesn't compute. What about all of the A'ja Wilson Nike outrage last year that subjected not only Caitlin Clark but her fans to all kinds of racial hate?
A storm that sent a hate mob directly to Clark. This is something you don't want to miss in the third installment. A.A. Wilson is currently dealing with what may be the biggest...
God, the mainstream media, woke WNBA fans, they lost their minds. They went nuts. All right? Man, they were berating fans, you name it, going after Caitlin. All the white and the blah and the blah. And A'ja Wilson was oddly silent, but complicit.
Controversy in the WNBA right now. The internet is incensed, and the story keeps getting crazier because of what happened with Caitlin Clark. When Caitlin Clark signed a big shoe deal with Nike, it should have been a celebration for one of the most talented players we've seen in years. But instead, it descended into a full-scale social media war driven by division, outrage, and false information. This situation has grown into one of the biggest controversies in women's basketball, and it's honestly hard to believe how everything happened. Now, if you've been following the WNBA, you know that Caitlin Clark is a generational talent who has been breaking records, shattering expectations, and attracting more attention to women's basketball than almost anyone before her.
Some folks are talking about A'ja Wilson, you know, the player on the team where people are abandoning like rats off a sinking ship. You know, A'ja Wilson, who has won 2 championships in the WNBA. A'ja Wilson, who was crowned MVP before the 2024 season started. A'ja Wilson, you know, she's a really good basketball player. But back to culture. I wouldn't want A'ja Wilson on my team, or maybe I should turn it around. Since she's A'ja Wilson, I wouldn't want to be on A'ja Wilson's team.
Wilson.
The hype surrounding her isn't just driven by the media, it's supported by real results. However, as she rose to prominence, there was a wave of criticism, especially regarding the opportunities she's been receiving in comparison to some of the league's more seasoned players. This is where A.A. Wilson enters the scene in Game 4. Wilson, a 2-time MVP champion and one of the WNBA's biggest stars, has dominated the league for years. She's an elite player, no doubt about it. But when Clark Knight...
Talking about the situation with her Nike shoe. People are not happy. I guess there are people even who may rock with A'ja Wilson who would say, yo, A'ja.
People weren't just...
...announced a lot. Of people felt like Wilson was being disrespected. The argument was simple. How does a rookie get a signature shoe before a player like A.E.L. Wilson, who has already proven herself at the highest level? That's when social media erupted. People weren't just questioning Nike's decision, they were accusing them of racial bias. The conversation quickly turned ugly with some fans, commentators, and even other WNBA players
revealed that she knew about her signature shoe for about 2 years, kept it from her parents, knew about it for about 2 years. But when people came after Caitlin Clark, remember her? A great basketball player, because Nike was preparing a shoe for Caitlin Clark, A'ja Wilson said nothing.
Openly saying that Clark was only getting these opportunities because she was white. It wasn't just about shoes anymore. It became a full-blown controversy about race recognition and fairness in women's basketball. And Wilson, she said nothing. She sat back and watched the outrage build. Fans were tearing Clark apart, accusing her of benefiting from racial privilege, claiming she
didn't say much about the shoe, so even her parents didn't know until recently. Okay, not a problem. But you not only didn't say anything to stop the harassment that Caitlin Clark was receiving because of the folks out there who just had a problem with Caitlin Clark, you didn't just not say anything like, yo, chill with that. You begin to play the victim, and Caitlin Clark is the product of white privilege, and when people say she doesn't have privilege, then it just turns your stomach, or whatever it is, however she phrased it.
Hadn't earned her success and dragging her name through the mud. The hate directed at Clark was insane, and all the while Wilson, the player at the center of this conversation, stayed completely silent. At first, that silence didn't seem like a big deal. Maybe she just didn't want to get involved. Maybe she didn't want to add fuel to the fire. But then the truth came out. Wilson had known for 2 years that she was getting her own signature shoe from Nike. Yes, you read that right, 2 years. She already had a deal in place. She already knew she was getting a shoe. She let the internet explode with rage over something that wasn't even true. She let the controversy grow to the point where Caitlin Clark was being harassed daily over something that wasn't even real, and she never stepped in to stop it. Think about that. Imagine watching the world go to war for you over an issue that doesn't actually exist, and choosing to stay silent. Imagine watching a 22-year-old rookie take brutal, nonstop attacks from fans, media, and even other athletes over a narrative that you could have ended with a single tweet, and yet Wilson let it happen. This isn't just about keeping a secret. It's about the fact that she allowed a false narrative to grow, knowing full well that it was hurting another player. She could have stopped it. She could have said, hey guys, don't worry, I have my own shoe deal coming. She could have shut down the racial firestorm before it got out of control, but instead she played the victim. She let people believe she was being wronged. She let the drama build until it became something much bigger than basketball. And the harm had already been done when the truth was revealed. Caitlin Clark had already been painted as the villain. She had already been called every name in the book. She had already been forced to deal with months of unwarranted hate because people believed she had stolen something from Wilson, but she didn't. Clark didn't do anything wrong. She signed a deal that Nike offered her. She didn't take anything from anyone. She didn't ask for this drama. She just wanted to play basketball yet. Because Wilson chose to stay silent. Clark became the face of a controversy she had nothing to do with. And now Wilson is paying the price. Her reputation is taking a hit. The fans who once supported her are turning on her. Even people who defended her during the controversy are now questioning whether she manipulated the situation for her own benefit. Because let's be real, how does someone sit on this information for 2 years and say nothing while the internet is losing its mind? It wasn't just the fans, even other WNBA players were jumping in, defending Wilson, attacking Clark, and making this whole situation about something it was never supposed to be about yet. Wilson said nothing, and that silence speaks volumes. It tells us that she was willing to let the drama unfold. It tells us that she was fine with letting people believe she was being disrespected even when she wasn't. It tells us that she was okay with Clark taking the fall, as long as it made her look like the underdog. And now she's feeling the nuclear backlash. People are calling her out. Fans are demanding answers. The same people who stood up for her, supported her, and criticized Nike for not providing her with a shoe are now angry that they were misled. The WNBA already has a problem with division supporters who are split, tensions are high, and every move is ruined by routine. This circumstance only made matters worse. All of this was unjustified. Instead of celebrating her Nike agreement, enjoying the occasion, and concentrating on her game, Caitlin Clark had to cope with an entire online mob abusing her because of AA. Wilson refused to clear the air, and now the backlash is turning on Wilson. Her credibility has taken a hit. The respect she once had from all corners of the league, it's starting to slip because when you let people believe a lie for your own benefit, eventually the truth catches up to you. Wilson could have stopped this. She could have ended the debate before it even started. Instead, she let it